The United Nations Control Area, commonly known as the UN Buffer Zone or Green Line, is a demilitarized zone that separates the northern to the southern part. It includes an area of abandoned and demolished buildings, as well as agricultural land and natural habitats. Last year's edition generated a shared space of artistic experience on the theme of pockets, beyond, featuring multidisciplinary performances, installation, screenings, and events. By doing so, this has also changed the perception of people from across the existing divide about the space. As you have been told, I'm coming from Cyprus, which is the third largest island in the Mediterranean Sea and the home to one of the longest and most complex interactable conflicts of our time. Known as the Cyprus problem, it is an identity-based conflict involving the two main ethnic communities on the island. In the beginning of the 20th century, the Greek nationalist movement on the island sought the unification of Cyprus with Greece. On the other hand, the Turkish nationalist movement advocated for partition. In 1963, the reluctant Republic of Cyprus collapsed de facto. 10 years later, after a coup orchestrated by the Greek military junta and the subsequent military intervention by Turkey, the island was divided in two. In the southern part, controlled by the internationally recognized Republic of Cyprus, the entire Greek Cypriot population was displaced, while in the northern part, controlled by Turkey, the entire Turkish Cypriot population resided. Over 200,000 people became refugees. The United Nations Control Area in Cyprus, commonly known as the UN Buffer Zone or Green Line, is a demilitarized zone that separates the northern to the southern part of the island. It stretches approximately 180 kilometers across the island, with a width varying from some meters to several kilometers. It includes an area of abandoned and demolished buildings, as well as agricultural land and natural habitats. Access to the buffer zone is regulated and is monitored by the UN FISIP personnel. From 2003 onwards, following the partial lifting of restrictions by the authorities in the northern part of the island, and as a result of an agreement between the two sides, various crossing points were established along the line, allowing people and specific goods to be transported from one part of the island to the other, and vice versa. AHDR, the Association for Historical Dialogue and Research, the organization I represent here tonight, was founded also in 2003 by a small group of teachers, educators, and researchers from across the existing divide. The AHDR envisions a society where dialogue on issues of history, historiography, history teaching, and history learning is welcome as an integral part of democracy and is considered as a means for the advancement of historical understanding and critical thinking. Its mission is to contribute to the advancement of historical understanding amongst the public, and more specifically among children, youth, and educators, by providing access to learning opportunities for individuals of every ability and every ethnic, religious, cultural, and social background, based on the respect for diversity and the dialogue of ideas. Over the years, AHDR has made a contribution to the fields of history and peace education by advancing understanding, dialogue, and critical thinking, creating opportunities for intercommunal contact, developing educational materials, establishing a community and educational center within UN buffer zone called the Home for Cooperation, to which I will come later on, providing numerous opportunities for capacity building for teachers and students of all educational levels from all communities, advancing the exploration of heritage and memory through city walks and study visits, and collaborating with educational stakeholders for the introduction of innovative pedagogical approaches in formal and non-formal education. In 2014, AHDR introduced the tools of education for peace in its activities by implementing the 3 years project Education as a Vehicle for Reconciliation in Cyprus. During the project implementation, more than 200 children from across the existing divide had received an initial training in peace education at their free time, coming together in the UN buffer zone later through their participation to workshops and various peace-building and peace education-based activities. These children became peace ambassadors back to their families, their friends, and their schools. Multiplying in this way the positive effect of contact with the other, but also equipped with life skills and attitudes necessary to any democratic citizen with full respect to human rights. The Education as a Vehicle for Reconciliation in Cyprus project paved the way to an even wider project called Imagine. Imagine is an educational program on anti-racism education, education for a culture of peace, launched in 2017 after many efforts and with the agreement of the leaders of the two communities on the island. As per 2022, 6,170 students accompanied by 714 teachers were trained in the Imagine project. Another 518 teachers were trained in peace education, both communally and biocommunally, and another 92 head teachers participated in the Imagine Head Teachers Conference. The program aims to increase contact between the two communities in Cyprus and promotes peace, understanding, and anti-racism on the island in the context of a holistic understanding of a culture of peace and non-violence. How does it work? Initially, our trainers visit classes interested in participating in the bicommunal activities and create their safe spaces for discussion about stereotypes, discrimination, and racism as components of the prevailing culture of violence, and also facilitate experiential activities exploring those concepts. An important aspect of this activity is also to prepare students for contact with fellow students from other communities. At the second stage, classes from both communities are paired and asked to choose between two options of activities at the Home for Cooperation in the buffer zone in Nicosia. First, visit at the Home for Cooperation and anti-racist workshop, where students in mixed group engage in experiential activities related to anti-racism under the umbrella of Education for a Culture of Peace. And second, sports activities with NGO peace players, where students develop skills for teamwork, tolerance, and trust through sports activities. Interested groups of students have the option to further their participation and build on their established contact by taking part in sustainability actions, educational works in Nicosia, or study visits across the island. In addition to activities with students, the Imagine project also offers teachers training for teachers of primary, lower, secondary, and upper secondary educational levels. The Imagine project, which is under the auspices of the Bicommunal Technical Committee on Education and is funded by the Federal Foreign Office of the Republic of Germany, has systematically been mentioned in the United Nations Secretary General reports since its initiation, while it has received recognition and appraisal. The Association for Historical Dialogue and Research, the Home for Cooperation, the Cyprus-Turkish Teachers Trade Union and Cyprus Greek Teachers Organization run the intercommunal children's choir within the premises of the Home for Cooperation. Since 2017, the choir has had rehearsals once a week with the participation of young participants from all communities residing in Cyprus. The conductors, who have extensive experience both in teaching music and experiential learning, assisted children through various games and activities in getting to know each other and building mutual trust and also trust towards their conductors. The rehearsals take place at the Home for Cooperation in the UN-controlled buffer zone. From the very beginning of the AHDR's establishment, we recognize the privileged position of the neutral zone, buffer zone, for developing activities aimed at promoting contacts between the two communities on the island and advancing through them peace. Thanks to the funding we obtained from the Norwegian financial mechanism, in 2009, we packaged an abandoned building in the UN buffer zone, Nicosia, and within 2 years, after great effort, we renovated it, transforming it into the Home for Cooperation. Gradually, the Home for Cooperation gained autonomy from the parent organization, developing a range of cultural and social activities, essentially operating as a forum for interaction and collaboration among members of the two communities. Overall, the Home for Cooperation serves as a hub for activities that promote dialogue, cooperation, and peaceful coexistence in Cyprus. It provides a welcoming space where people from diverse backgrounds can come together, share experiences, and work towards a more inclusive and harmonious society. Among the most iconic activities initiated and being run by the Home for Cooperation is the Fringe, the only Fringe festival in Cyprus, the United by Sounds project, which aims to bring together musicians from across the existing divide, and the Home Cafe. Due to the time restraints, I will present here only partially the Fringe. The Fringe Performing Arts Festival started its journey in 2014 with the aim of breaking physical and mental barriers through the transformative power of arts. The first edition of the Fringe in 2014 took place in the buffer zone in Nicosia, where the Home for Cooperation is located. The Home for Cooperation had secured funding to support 10 small-scale intercommunal projects. More than half of the ideas submitted for funding to the Home for Cooperation concern various kinds of performances. The Home for C then decided to fund some of these performances and allocated part of the funding to provide technical support for staging the performances during a two-day festival in the buffer zone. The Fringe Volume 1 became a reality. It was organized as a multicultural event and created the opportunity for theater groups and actors to present their creative works in the buffer zone. Its success and the warm reception were the catalyst for its continuation and its establishment as an annual event. In its second year, the festival grew and took the form of a walking tour, not only in the buffer zone, but also around the old city of Nicosia. In 2016, Fringe became an international festival and expanded beyond the buffer zone, with all activities taking place in different venues that had historical or social significance across the divide. The 2017 edition was the first time the festival invited application through an international open call in addition to the local one. The festival hosted durational outdoor performances for the first time on historical landmarks of Nicosia, like Selimiye Square and Phaneromeni Square. The 2018 edition is marked with a sharp increase in international participation, and interest, with over 300 applications, as well as establishing new partnerships to host performances in the coastal cities of Limassol, Kyrenia, and Paphos. In 2018, the festival artistic director was Achim Wieland, whose vision for the collaboration of artists and decentralization has marked the festival and its legacy. In 2019, the festival returned to the buffer zone with a proposition by the artistic director Elada Vangelou to ask artists to define the buffer zone. This invitation created the space, physical and metaphorically, for artists, scholars, architects, and students from Cyprus and the world to propose their own inclusive, interactive, immersive ways to speak about buffer zones. During the pandemic, the festival shifted to a virtual one. The versions, due to the pandemic, also the volumes of 2020 and 2021 of the festival were organized together, taking a hybrid form which combined performances both on stage and online in Cyprus and internationally. The 2022 edition returned to its physical space, UN buffer zone in Nicosia, by the Home for Cooperation. Last year's edition generated a shared space of artistic experience on the theme of pockets, beyond, featuring multidisciplinary performances, installation, screenings, and events. Through all these activities, the Home, along with the AHDR, have managed to change de facto the use of the UN buffer zone, turning it, at least partially, from a military control area to an area welcoming civilians to get involved in social and cultural activities. By doing so, this has also changed the perception of people from across the existing divide about the space. Where they saw a threatening border, now they see a forum for cooperation and intercommunal interaction. From a personal point of view, having actively involved from the very beginning to this endeavor, I consider this transformation as the most actual challenge the status quo in my country has ever faced. Enabling people from across the divide to come together, to interact, have fun, and share a drink, the UN buffer zone around the Home for Cooperation provides the seeds for sustainable peace and prosperity. I strongly believe that our effort can and should inspire people in your own country to start working for the creation of similar zones of cooperation within the DMZ. Thank you very much.